Hey folks, Andy here. So I thought I'd just do a little bit of an update really. I don't think I've done a vlog in a little while. So it's actually a little bit chilly. It's, what is it, July the 9th, Saturday morning. It's about 9 AM. I'm surprised how, I mean I know it's a Saturday, but I'm surprised how busy everything is. Quite a lot of cyclists, a few joggers, quite a lot of cars. So as I was saying, I thought I'd just do a bit of an update, bit of a chat. Talk about the Alps. I can't remember if I told you about Mallorca. I went to Mallorca cycling as well. How the job's going. All bits and pieces like that really. So today's ride is it's 100 kilometers, which is just a touch over 62 miles. But yeah, the intention of this route, take it easy. I don't think I'm still recovered from the Alps a week ago. Hi. Oh. So I've just had stop number one, a couple of miles back, and I mean I've just actually passed by the 30-mile mark, so I'm almost halfway. Cycling distances is so psychological though. So I'm doing 62 miles, I've got 2 coffee and cake stops. Anything kind of over, well no, anything over 60 miles I suppose, that's probably my swing point where I want to try and put a second stop in. If it was 50 something or even 55, I'd go 28, 29, 30 miles and then have the stop and then I would cycle home, that's fine. But when you get up over the 60s, 2 legs of kind of more than 30 miles, that's psychologically again, I think, that's quite big. So 2 stops in this route. But again, the whole psychology of it, I almost, not that I have to, but I much prefer to have the longest leg first. So it was 28 miles to the first stop. It's about 18 or 17 to the next and then 17 miles home. And if I did that in reverse, I would hate it. So 17, stop, 17 again, stop, and then 28 miles home would be horrible. So yeah, just, I don't know, well, I mean, maybe it might just be me. I was gonna say a little tip for anyone that's building up their miles, get the longer legs in first and have the easier bits at the end. So we're into nicer roads now as well. We're in the sort of Shefford area. Well, I came to Shefford a little while back. The stop was at South Hill Tea Rooms. Really nice. I was almost going to say as well, I was expecting the weather to be better, but the sun's come out now, so lovely. So, as I mentioned earlier, last week I was cycling around the Alps with, I wouldn't call us a cycle club. We're more a WhatsApp group, that's kind of it. We hired a big splitter van, so kind of front half minibus, back half van, 8 of us. Bikes go in the back, and we all shared the drive, and we drove down there to Bourg, which, if you're watching the Tour de France, I think they're going to go through in stage 12, because it's literally, literally a stone's throw from the start of Alpe d'Huez, which is funny. I kind of imagine everyone knows Alpe d'Huez, but it is a cyclist thing, I think. It's one of the most famous cycling climbs in the world. Goes up 1,000 meters. It's about 12 or 13 kilometers long. So we drove down to Bourg on the Saturday. We set off, I was awake at about 4 AM, and we arrived in Bourg at 20 past midnight. So it was a long old day. But it was funny because we arrived in pitch black, so you don't really see any of the scenery coming in. And you wake up, and I came out in the morning, the sun was out, and you're just surrounded by the Alps. It's amazing, it's amazing. And it's funny, one of the guys had posted kind of a possible itinerary of the rides we were going to do. And I can't lie, I looked at it and thought, that looks a little bit easy. You know, we're talking, well, Sunday we'll just have a 30-mile or 34-mile ride. I think it was maybe 6,000 feet, maybe. And they were much the same through the week. I think one of them was a 40, 45 mile, maybe. Actually, I don't know if it was. 60 kilometers, maybe. Yeah, and I went, I looked at them thinking, well, it's a little bit easy. I was thinking very differently Sunday evening, because we'd done this, if I could do air quotes, warm-up ride on the Sunday, and the first bit of the climb was a good 10 or 11% for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 10% maybe. Maybe it's a little bit less than 10 minutes, but felt like an eternity. And the heat as well, it was a good 25 degrees or so. It just drained me. The evening I was ruined. I'm thinking, how am I going to do this for 5 or 6 days? Funny enough, Monday didn't feel as bad. Monday was a 2-hour 50 climb. Croix de Fer was the final point, I think, at about 2,000 meters high. And it took about 2 hours 50, and mainly there's a little bit of down, a little bit. But actually I didn't feel as bad. Again, the worst bit was early on, worst, steepest bit. But on the whole, I could just put myself in a nice low gear, generally, and spin my way up to these little cottages. So Tuesday was kind of a rest day, although we still did a category 2 climb. And this is one thing we realised, you can't find flat roofs anywhere. You just can't find flat roofs. Well, unless you stay on the main road. There's a main road that kind of runs through, I guess, the valley between all the mountains. So you could do a relatively flat route just staying on that main road, but it was quite busy actually for a main road. So you use that main road to get out to the different climbs, and then pretty much all of them are at least category 2. So the rest day, what was that, the Ornon maybe? I can't remember. It was the cat 2 climb. It was about a 40 or 50 minute climb, I think, maybe even an hour, with a cake and coffee at the top, obviously. But actually, that's quite nice. And a couple compared to the Alps, but it's quite nice. But yeah, the descending, wow, that was fun. So day 4 was the big one. That was the day we've planned for Uppbeat, which, to be fair, was not as big a climb really. Well, I suppose it was, but it was slightly quicker. So the day we did Croix de Fer and whatever the climb was before that, I think Glandon, was a longer, as in time, but 2 hours 50 to do. I think it was the same amount of climbing, but in kind of an hour and a half-ish. Well, I thought an hour and a half-ish. So afterwards, the pros, I think the record is like 35 minutes, 37 minutes. I'd watched the GCN video a few days earlier, where they'd done it in an hour and 5, and I thought, actually, I mean, they're pretty good cyclists, the GCN guys, even if they're amateur. So I thought, anything less than an hour and a half is good. I did an hour and 22. So I was really pleased with that, really pleased. The fast guys in our group, all a minute apart I think, hour and 11, hour and 12, 13 and 14. But yeah, it's not actually that great a climb, there's so much traffic on it. There's so much construction work going on in that area because the tour's coming through. So most of the roads, really smooth, beautiful tarmac. But some of them are still re-tarmacking. There's a lot of construction lorries going up and down outdoors because of all the work going on up in the town at the top. I mean, didn't really know. The road was plenty wide enough. There's a good service. There's plenty of room for everybody. They're even repainting a lot of the road markings as we were going up. But yeah, quite a sizable town at the top. So we had some lunch, a bit of a chill. Because then there was another little climb called a Seren, maybe, so, I think, which wasn't huge, but after you've just done Alpe d'Huez and stopped for an hour or so, that felt tough. But over the back of that, because this all of a sudden you felt it was more, you know, the road surfaces weren't as amazing, kind of out of the way almost, no traffic at all, and just the most amazing views, amazing. So although Alpe d'Huez wasn't, I don't know, I did like it as a climb. I'm probably doing it disservice, I think, just because it is quite busy and it's almost a very common sort of, it actually still had some amazing views over the valley. You could see our campsite and the pool and everything from hundreds of feet up, or hundreds of meters. So yeah, it was very nice. And it wasn't as hard as some of the others. There were no real ramps in it, so you could just find your pace, find your rhythm, and head up it. Because then on to what we're on to, day 5, Villard Reculus, I think it was. Again, it's supposed to be an easier day, but Reculus I think was a category 2 climb. It was quite tough in places. But yeah, quite tough. And I think kind of finished us all off that evening. I think, quite honestly, if someone said, should we not ride tomorrow? I reckon there might have been a few takers. In fact, was the plan at one point. Let's not ride on the last day, let's just chill, let's do some other stuff. But then someone said, let's just do this cafe ride. We still had like 1,000 feet in it in 20 miles. But yeah, we did day 6, which is a bit of a lighter. It was only a, like I say, 20-mile ride. So yeah, amazing trip. Amazing trip. Well, actually just coming into a climb. So my next stop is Mill End Plants, I think. I'll stop filming for a minute, then I'm going to come back with my hints and tips if you head to the Alps. I've only got a couple of them, but worth mentioning. Right, let me deal with this little climb. Whew. Some bait. Righto, on the home stretch now, only about 12 miles to go. So I'm about, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles north of Waternut Stone, just past through Walkern. Like the worst high street ever. It's just battered, it's ruined. So, sort of tips for the Alps, if anyone's going. I think tip number 1 is get the right gear. And I'm not talking about your clothing or your bike. I'm talking about gear ratios. Because although I have a 36 small ring on the front and a 34 on the back, it's pretty big. Bigger than most people have. Because I'm 97, 98, 99 kilos, I could really have done with a bigger one on the back or a smaller one on the front. Quite often I was madly clicking, praying that I could drop down another gear, and no, I was in the lowest gear already. Because at my weight on a kind of a 10-11% climb, that's really hard. If you're doing that for sort of 10 minutes, it's really hard. So, don't underestimate the climbs. I think tip 2 is don't underestimate the effort. So as I said, I'd looked at some of these rides and thought, yeah, that's easy, sure, make it a bit harder, no? It was hard, it was really hard. Especially when you're stacking them day on day. But then, almost in the face of that, don't be afraid of the effort. So, I know a lot of people will look at rides and think, how do we do that day after day? What's quite surprising is how your body adjusts. I know it was my big concern when I went to the Lake District last year. I looked at the rides and they did actually look quite big. There's only 3 of them, maybe 4 of them. And I remember thinking, these are 3 or 4 of the biggest rides I've ever done. How am I going to do them day after day? And I remember sort of saying this to the ride organiser, and he said, you'd be surprised how your body just adjusts, and it really did. Day 1 I felt okay. Day 2 was really tough. I thought, how am I going to do day 3? And day 3 I felt great. I guess the final tip is fairly standard cycling advice. Just make sure you fuel and you drink loads of water. So it'll vary depending what year and what the weather's like when you're there, what time of year and what the weather's like when you're there. I was doing a lot of these climbs in anything from sort of 24 to 28 degrees C. I was sweating like I've not sweated in years since I was a bigger person cycling. Make sure you take those sort of tabs that replace the salts and minerals and what have you, and just make sure you fuel, make sure you eat plenty. I just dive into crumbs. I can't cycle by crumbs and not grab a couple of cakes. They do amazing cake. Crumbs in Waternut Stone. They're really nice in there. I left them a good review on Google Maps. Well, I could do any good cycle stop. They said, oh, glad you enjoyed it, something. Let us know when you're next here and have your favourite cake on us. So I did, I had a brownie the next time I was in. But yeah, I mean, I think the most amazing cakes. If you're anywhere near Watton at Stone, go and try them. Anyway. So hopefully you've enjoyed me waffling on. Do leave a comment. I do enjoy the interaction. I do enjoy reading them. I do enjoy the discussions. So please do leave a comment. Obviously, to be honest, I always imagine these kind of videos are watched by my subscribers. I mean, if you've never seen a video of mine before and you're watching this, do let me know, because I'd be interested to know what you think. Because these videos, I guess they are made for my subscribers, really. Those that, you know, various different people commented how they just enjoy watching me make videos almost, which I really appreciate. And that's why I do these videos. So yeah, let me know if this is your first video and what you think. If you've made it this far, you probably didn't. But yeah, if you have watched it for the first time, you're not a subscriber, please do. Also give it a thumbs up, especially if you are a subscriber, give us a thumbs up. I know people moan about, why do they always say, well, because it helps the channel. You know, it really doesn't pay much back, these channels. So anything you can do to help it be more successful, it's not that big an ask, I don't think. So yeah, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll catch you all again soon. Take care all.